Hello and welcome to the BitLife Show. I'm Ryan Fring. How do I normally say this? Hello and welcome to Working Title. I'm Ryan Fring with the BitLife Show, and today we talk to Vinnie Besasie about movies. Oh, you gotta meet Vinnie. He's amazing. He's a great director, cinematographer, actor, a little bit of everything in the Midwest here.
I can cut it together. Just start saying words and I will make an opening.
We actually heard about him from I don't know what I'm saying.
Excellent.
I know he had produced several commercials with this friend of ours, so we actually finally met him last year. It only took a year to get him up here again. We had a really great talk. He's a really great guy. I can't wait to have him back. It was just kind of like hanging out with your friends. Are you a superhero? Do you have powers? So we talk about Revenant, what's a good movie, some of the work that he's done, indie filmmaking, that type of thing. Vinnie Besasie, jazz hands. Yeah, well, the last time you were here, you had worked on that short that was it was psychedelic. It was just really beautiful and well paced, and I remember a lot of the colors and kind of the scenery and the setting, and
that one. I guess I would say what's happened in that area is that particular. I was just the cinematographer on that one, and that director is gearing up in theory, trying to work on gearing up for his first feature that he wants to shoot next year. And so, or not next year. It's now this year. We were talking about that last year. So, so in theory, he wants to shoot a feature in September. So, I don't know. We'll see. That's a big jump to go from short to feature, and not saying that he can't do it, but that's a huge. Mm-hmm. That's a huge deal.
Is this something that you'd get to work with him on?
Yeah. He asked me if I wanted to shoot it again, and I said, nice. Of course, I'm definitely interested. And he's, always got really, really interesting ideas, and I think it'd be fun. It's funny because several people now in the indie film world. I guess I can launch right into this because I've kind of experienced this again just recently. I've talked to a bunch of people about a bunch of indie projects, and while the director of the Wheel, he already has some money in the bank from some investor towards his feature. So he's got part of it down. He's got maybe like a third of it down, and he's going to work on the rest of this, over the next 6 to 8 months to raise the rest. But a lot of people love to they want to make a film, whether it's a short, or let's say it's a feature. The feature is always the big one. Everyone wants to make a feature, right? I do too.
Yeah.
And they okay, we're going to use these actors, and we're going to get this crew, and we're going to use this camera, and and we got our start date. We're going to start shooting on September 1st. And they okay, great. Did you have the money for it? No, we don't have that yet. But we got everything else, and we got our start date September 1st. And I always wonder, how can you have a start date when you don't have the money?
Right.
Or even worse, this is the worst one. Script's almost done, but we're going to start on September 1st. Okay, so, all right, just start at the basic. If you don't have a script, that's the scariest way to be approached for a film, is to work on a film and for them to not even have the script done, not even have the blueprints of the house done, and they're ready to start hammering nails into wood just randomly. And so, like I said, John is not in that situation. His script is done and everything, but several other people have approached me, and they're on whatever draft of the script. I'm like, were you really happy with it? Well, yeah, it's getting there. Well, how can you, I tell you what, scratch your start date, scratch even talking to people about it. Yet, until you are like, okay, I got this script, I am totally dead set, this is what I want to do. And then, now from a money standpoint, let's say it's a shoestring budget, all right? That's fine, whatever it is, have the budget or have the concept of the budget or some semblance of the budget ready to go prior to starting to talk to people. Because if you talk to people right off the bat and you try to get everybody jazzed, and then you don't have enough money to just even start, okay, now you got a little bit of egg on your face, right? You're like, well, okay, we got to push our start date back, and that's not cool. I mean, because you want to capitalize on all the energy that you're getting everybody jazzed about so that you can pull the trigger and on everyone on your start date because you got the money, you got the script, all those, those two things fell into place.
Right. And we work with a lot of people who are raising money, and when they have these $1 million campaigns, they always have this silent phase where they talk to all their buddies or all their colleagues or that, where they get a third of it or a half of it even before they even go to the public, or before they even go to the public. There's another phase, and it seems like they have this rock that they get rolling down a hill, and then they're like, hey, look at this rock rolling down the hill. Do you want to get in on this? And it seems to work a lot better that way. And that's how Kickstarter, recommends you do it, and how we've seen in these kind of indie fundraising sites as well, where it's like, get some of this money, because if people see that other people are invested and care about your movie, then they'll tend to care more, as opposed to zero of $150,000 and maybe 7,000 of 100, and you're like, well, doesn't seem very serious.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, I totally agree with you. And then this is going to sound like what I'm going to say is like counter to that, but it's not. The other thing is, like, if you say, let's say $150,000 is your budget, and you're like, well, I got $50,000. I have 50, right, of it. So I just need to raise 100 or whatever. Let's say I got $25,000. I need to raise the rest. Many times what people will do is they won't be able to raise the money, the full amount. Well, I got 25. I can start on 25. And then the rest of the money, it's going to come. I know it's going to come. And invariably it doesn't come. So you start and you get into your production. Now you're into it and you've spent the money. You spent 25 and you don't have any money left. And now you're going to everybody and saying, hey, will you work the rest for free, or this, that, and the other thing. That's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. So, I mean, for me, and I've been there. I've been on these shoots. I've been there when like an entire crew mutinied, and basically
and made their own film. They're like, we're not getting paid anyway, but we're stuck here. So this is now our horror film.
Yeah, it can get ugly. It can get really ugly, especially because in the indie film world, there's so much like trust and goodwill and sweat equity that's put into it. Everybody's working for, a tenth their rate and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So just what I guess I would say is, I'm not trying to espouse advice, but like in that regard, is have as much stuff as you can, because as an indie filmmaker, you're going to go to these people and ask for favors. You're going to be beating everybody up in some capacity. And if they're experienced in the indie film world, they know it's coming. They expect it. They're waiting for it. Everybody's waiting for it. They're waiting for you to ask them for that favor, and they're waiting for your response to that favor, and it's coming. If you can make that as painless as possible, or at least filled with as much goodwill as possible, then you're going to have that much more success, finishing it out, as opposed to hitting a point in the middle of the film where now people are furious and your paychecks didn't clear because there is no money and they all bounced, and oh my god, it's like awful. And and honesty, I would say that's like your biggest friend in the indie film world. That we're like hardcore right in the indie film world talk, which I like, is fun. Like honesty right up front, because like if you say, oh yeah, I'll give you points on the back end and all that, if you're young, you go, ooh, points on the back end. If you're old like me, you go, well, that means no pay.
Right.
Because, which is fine. It's like, so I'd rather you say no pay.
Right.
And, okay, we can play the game of points on the back end. I'll sign whatever. And that's adorable. Okay, we'll do that. But just be honest, like say up front, like, look, nobody's going to make anything off of this or whatever, or I got 20 grand to make this film and that's what I'm going to do. I just hope you pitch in and want to be a part of it. Just be honest, and people will respect you that much for it. If you say, we're going to sell this movie, right away, and I got a distributor lined up and all that stuff, well, now people like come to the project. If they're not savvy enough to know that means no pay, well, now they think right away they have the attitude, well, this asshole owes me money right away. Like, I'll work on your problem. You owe me money, dude.
Yeah.
Is that any way to start a project right off the bat? I mean, just be honest and say, there's nothing, I got nothing. You're either in this for the fun of it and because we're going to light a dude on fire, or we're going to crash a car, whatever it is that we're going to do.
Right.
Get into it for those reasons, or legitimately have 60 grand. and legitimately pay people $100 a day or whatever is the rate you're going to be able to pay people for 3 weeks or whatever that is. But
what I got out of that was that a guy named Vinnie said that somebody owed him money and they lit someone on fire and crashed a car.
Probably have done all those things. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's trust and that being honest with each other. That's kind of like PA 101. If you don't know, like go get a box of f-stops.
Yeah.
Like if you don't stop and say, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And you go look and you're gone for 10 minutes or something. That's incorrect. You should if you don't understand, ask, because everyone that the majority of people that we've met and worked with are so great, so honest, so trusting, even to the point where on set there's a disagreement and we figure it out, and then afterwards you just talk it out, like the best families, the best marriages and relationships do. And so it's nice to see that that is also what you're saying is the approach for, on a larger scale, the indie production world, because I imagine it gets a little fishy when you get more into, I don't know, we'll just start making stuff up now, but bigger production, Hollywood or anything like that, where, it might just be microcosms of personalities instead of a lot of honesty and trust. And, in the indie world where we're all going to have to carry this on our back. And if we don't all work together, and if I'm not honest with you, you're not going to carry as well as you could, and we're all going to fall over, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you hook up with a production from out of state, let's say, somebody's coming here to shoot an indie film or wherever, like here, I don't want to be like, rah-rah Midwest, but kind of rah-rah Midwest, because we're all pretty, fairly honest here.
Midwest nice.
Yeah, Midwest nice. And we all like working hard and we like doing cool shit and seeing cool things happen. And so that's good. But, to just have your, wits about you when it comes to an outside production company coming into town, I don't want to say like everybody's out to screw you, but in the indie world, oh man, it's tough because it's so tempting to want to, screw the locals or whatever, do whatever, because they can come in and they can blast out here. And that's not always the case. I've been a part of indie productions that have come from out of town and were phenomenal to work on. And then I've been part of indie productions where, you sign on, you're reluctant, but your gut is telling you, you tell them, okay, I'll do your project, we'll play cards, but I got to play cards with my hand on my gun with you. That's what I got to do. I got to do it with you because I just don't trust you.
Sure.
And in the Midwest, we got a good, generally speaking, got a pretty good sixth sense or, gut instinct about who you can trust and who you can't trust. And 9 times out of 10, we end up running circles around. It's been my experience that we run circles around other crews, like people come from the coasts or whatever, have come here and have, working with the local yokels, and they'll send them to go get a box of f-stops or whatever, blah blah blah, and we end up like totally blowing them away and working infinitely harder, and they're totally shocked. I got a good story I could tell about that specifically. So there's nobody. I could use names. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit.
Watches this anyway.
So okay. So
it's more for us.
What was the guy, Dean Devlin? So he was the producer on, like, his big claim to fame was Independence Day. And then since then, what he's like currently kind of famous for, but it's old, is what's that Timothy Hutton series, Leverage, right? Is that it? I think Leverage. That's kind of his baby. So he comes to town, this is a long, long time ago, and he was going to shoot a trailer for a movie that he was trying to sell to Warner Brothers or whatever, trying to get them to pick up, about a stunt pilot, I think. And his big investor was what's the guy that owns Oracle? Larry somebody? His son, whoever that is, his son.
Larry Page?
Whoever owns Oracle.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's Larry somebody. His son, whatever, right? Rich kid. And so that kid was going to team up with Dean Devlin, and they were going to shoot a movie about a stunt pilot or whatever. So they came here to shoot at the EAA. So they hired a local crew, I was one of them, to be their crew to go up and shoot like all these different, planes and the air show and all tons of shit that they were going to put into their trailer, right? So the Steadicam operator that came from LA, we were doing a scene. He, I could tell he had an attitude. Couple of these guys, they had their attitudes.
Like attitude, like ego, like
ego, like cute little like Wisconsin dude. You think you're in the movie business? That's well, you can come and tote my shit, right? So okay, whatever. But we just did our jobs, and we were all the grip crew, and we were doing everything to the best that we could, and we knew right away we were impressing them because we were working our asses off and doing a great job. So comes time to do a Steadicam shot where the guy wanted to be, flying down a row of planes or whatever, and we had a Gator, and so he was going to ride in the back of the Gator, and I guess I was going to like hold him. I was going to be a safety, and Tom Matthews, who you guys know, more than likely, I would imagine, he was driving the Gator, and so we get in the Gator and we do the shot. And everything is fine. It's perfect. The guy turned on. Yeah, it was very good. All right, let's do that again. All right, we go do it again. Perfect. Totally fine. Yeah, great. Okay. We're about to do it again, and then Dean comes over and says, hey, can I ride with you? I want to see what you guys are picking up. And the Steadicam goes, oh, sure, yeah. And then suddenly, like, his chest all beefed out. Now, Dean Devlin's here, the producer's here, and he's worked with him before, so this is his guy. He came from LA with him, so he has to, put on a show. So we go do the shot. Identical, 100% exactly the same way. Get to the end of the shot, the Steadicam guy starts bitching his head off, literally about nothing, but yelling at Tom Matthews, who was driving it like, you gotta keep it straight. Tom did the exact same thing. Nothing was different. But he had to yell at the local guy in order to make himself feel that much more impressive to Dean. Oh, this guy's, he's treating these local guys, shaping them up or whatever the bullshit was, right? So we get done, we keep our mouth shut. Tommy and I look at each other, we're rolling our eyes. We get back to the grip truck, and we're unloading a bunch of our gear. And another buddy of mine, Don, is in the back of the grip truck. We're handing stuff up to him. And he's like, oh, how'd it go? And Tommy and I are it went pretty good. It went okay. He's like, was there any problem? I'm like, no. Steadicam guy's a typical LA douchebag. And Don, like, as he's listening to me, right, he's listening to me, and, like, maybe I'm halfway through the sentence of, typical LA douchebag. He, like, looks up, and I see his eyes get real big. And then he kind of comes back to me as he has stuff up, and then he whispers, he was right behind you. And I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck. And that dude didn't say shit to us. After that? For the rest of the day, he was respectful. He was nice. He was peaches and cream. Didn't matter if Dean Devlin was around or not. Yeah. So he heard all that, and that was like the one time this little guy. I'm like,
you reminded him. Like, you can't be douching to other people.
Yeah, you're a douchebag, and I don't give a fuck if you heard me. So that was good. That was like, I felt like that was a win vindicated. Like, you're not gonna come to this town and treat us like shit. We're not just going to roll over and take it.
Right. I think, especially in the Midwest, for those who are less experienced, the problem or the trap that people fall into is that we're making movies. Like, we're doing fun things here. We're just kind of doing something fun and creative, And so, like, there's not much pay and whatever, and we're all going to work long. But, like, people fall into the trap of not treating it like a business. Like, no, this is the business world. Like, no, you want me to be here. I'm doing my job, and you need to pay me this, X amount or whatever's agreed upon. And sometimes in this industry, maybe more concessions are made, but still it's a business. And still, it doesn't, just because we're doing something fun doesn't mean that we don't treat it like that.
Mm-hmm. With a beautiful, wonderful story. Blessing and a curse. Everyone, you get into it. Varying levels of experience, and lots of people want to jump on and help out, especially for free, with little experience. And I think the challenge is just finding people who can work hard, because I think, any level of experience, you can start working on indie productions, but you have to be able to work hard and want to learn and want to grow. If you think, you're the shit, and, even if you've been on only a few productions, if you're not going to work hard, that's one of the things that we look at when we're looking at PAs and grips and that type of thing. Not somebody who knows everything, because certainly we don't know everything and how to call everything, and we're learning stuff every shoot. But somebody who's going to work hard, going to be there, going to be ready. And I think when you have that on an indie set, that's also going to be a way that you can succeed. It's a sign of success when you can find hard workers willing to work on this project for little money.
Yeah, throw a rock in this state, you'll hit one though. Because everybody here is, I shouldn't say everybody, but like most people have great attitudes and are, really fired up to work on indie projects and everything. And that's awesome. That's great. I love it. I wouldn't live anywhere else.
Now, how long have you kind of been doing indie production as well as professional production? Like, what's a little bit of your story? Tell us that.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate. I've never stopped, I guess. Right in film school, right? I guess you can call it indie production, right? Because you're out there, you're working on it with your friends for free. And I've never stopped from that moment on. Actually, going all the way back, obviously, to high school. Yeah, when you're shooting shit with your friends in high school, to now, I still will get together and work on indie projects for either very little pay or nothing. If it's for friends and stuff like that, I scratch a lot of backs so that I can get mine scratched when the time, comes.
Yeah, right.
So that's part of it, especially with the community in the state or in Madison, I'm sure, and in Milwaukee. So so there's a lot of that goodwill. So I don't really stop at it. And there's people like that are in the business, and we might have talked about that at that event where they're like, well, how can you get together like on the weekend and do your job for free? I don't get that. Like, don't you do it during the week and you get paid? And then why would you go and waste your time? Because there's just, you're either doing that stuff to keep your creative soul alive and all the fun that comes with that, but then other people do these jobs just because they're their jobs and that's it. And they're not really interested in the extracurriculars. And that's totally fine. It is kind of weird. It's like, you probably wouldn't catch, although maybe, like, would a plumber go out and plumb for free on the weekends on plumbing projects? No, probably not. I don't know. It's probably one of the
If so,
rare
call
aspects.
me.
Yeah.
I have some things that need to be fixed that sound stupid, but I'd like somebody to fix for free.
I'm looking for a plumber to work on a creative plumbing
Exactly,
project.
that's it. It's artistic, so no pay.
Yeah.
But actually, running a business, I think the most frustrating thing for me is just trying to organize and, kind of on the front end, shift things around from multiple projects and schedule. And, we have Julia who produces and schedules and does all that. But even just looking at my schedule, I'll see, creative thing, like shoot something, come up with creative, do, some kind of mood board or whatever. And I see that on a schedule and I'm like, I don't want to do that. But the second I'm in there, it's all kittens.
Yeah.
The same thing like on the weekends, like, we got this, 48-hour film contest or this puppet film, another weekend of that. Oh, okay. Gotta prepare. And it's just this weird mental game that I enter into where I just have to stave off, I don't know, like the desire to not work long enough so that I can actually get into it because I love it. I love the creative, the work, and just being in that mindset as well. I mean, even here, just being able to talk and that type of thing. Like I see it on the calendar week after week, and it's like 3 hours. I got a lot to do. Try to figure those things out. But as soon as you're here, you're like, yes, this is where I should be. This is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
So that's tough for me.
And keeping the creative soul alive is part of it too, because I think in the business world, like, you're dealing with clients who don't always, are a little concerned about going too far, too, weird or whatever, too goofy, and they want to play it safe, and you push to a certain extent, and then you just back off and be like, okay, fine, let's do it your way.
Yeah.
And eventually, that's not very what's the word I'm looking for?
Satisfying?
It's not very satisfying to
Yeah.
frequently have your ideas just like, okay, we'll do the thing that's a little less.
Sure.
And so if you're not getting that, you know, and if you want to push yourself a little bit or try something new, like you've got to do it separately. You got to do it on the weekend. You got to, you know.
Yeah, it's the best time for you to experiment.
Yeah.
Well, and then when you experiment, you just are, not only you're pushing yourself and you're growing and stuff, but then you can bring all those new ideas back to the client world, and then, you know, 80% of them don't fly, but then sometimes 20% poke through, and you're able to actually do a time lapse or a bullet time or this or that, or whatever it is that you've played with on the weekend that you've kind of got down pat, mastered. And, you know, it's not, you know, there are the clients out there that do want something new or want something, or at the very least they say that up front, and then you get to the edit and then they kind of like, whoa. But usually still you can poke some stuff through. And that's cool, you know, when you can. Again, at the end of the day, you're trying to sell, you know, their widget or their service or whatever it is. But if you can, you have to do whatever you're going to do to maintain your own, to flex the creative wings as much as you can, because that's the only way you're going to be any good at what you do. And that's the only way the client's going to end up wanting to work with you in the end, is because you do cool shit. They appreciate your work. They like what they see, you know. Stagnation that's death.
Well, and it's interesting too, because like when we, you know, I don't know, early 2000, when we, well, late early 2000, I don't know how to talk about the aughts now, but when we kind of came into the field professionally, there was this transition still happening to HD and digital and that type of thing, and you know, this weird like, well, we haven't done this for 30 years, you know, we've kind of done the same thing for 20 or 30 years. Now we're changing, and now it seems like, you know, we're changing almost every year, or, you know, if we're not changing, we're dying. And it seems like over the last 10 years with YouTube and online video that there's been a large shift in how we tell stories, certainly. And I know that we found that a lot of our clients are open to that thing. You know, like, I don't know what that thing is, but I want that thing. Yeah. And so they've been a lot more open to things that we pitch them. Like, hey, one we're working on now, their competitor released scientific testing video that showed our product versus their product. And even like to us, aside from the quality, you know, how terrible it was, you know, can't believe they put that out there as marketing.
Sure.
But then the science of the scientific testing, we're like, just turn the fan to the left. Like it's not even in the right area.
Yeah.
Like you can see that, and you know, like when they're moving something down, you're like, why is that off to the side? This doesn't make any sense. And then, so our client, you know, was offended by that and was like, well, we have to refute all these points. And especially the engineers, they're like, this is wrong. We have to fix. And we're like, okay, all right. What if instead of entering into this playground fight where they say, no, your hat's stupid, and we say, no, your hat's stupid, and then they reply, your hat's stupid, and then I reply, your hat, et cetera, et cetera. Instead of that, like, let's take the high ground. Let's do something silly. Let's say something about your brand, and keep it kind of in that competitive nature without really, you know, talking about this competitor. Yeah. So we actually pitched them a kind of Dollar Shave Club walking through the warehouse type of flippant energy and things happening, and scientific testing video. That's with cool. An actor, and, you know, completely scripted and storyboarded and, you know, plotted out. And it's turning out really well. But we were just excited that this kind of more standard style of company, we create widget X, we sell widget X, and here's how we get our margins, and et cetera, is open to, let's do something interesting that'll be shareable. You know, and everyone's like, can you do the viral? Can you do the, you know, we're like, well, I can tell you what's not going to be. Yeah. This stuff over here, but this stuff over here has a chance. Yeah. I don't know. Let's take a chance over here.
Yeah, that's the worst question in the world. Make me a viral video. Oh, okay. If we knew how to do that, right? I mean, of course, that's always terrible. But I mean, you hope. You have no idea what's going to catch fire, of course.
I've heard some cliche phrases maybe, but I think they're useful. And like, the one is like, well, I can't guarantee a video is going to be viral, but I can guarantee a video that won't be viral. Yeah, I can guarantee that if you do it this way, nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
And so the reason that it's kind of fun to be in like business and corporate production now is because of like the modern audience and their tastes and their like patience with watching advertising has gone way down. And so that kind of makes it fun because we get to toe that line toward more creative, more film, making, storytelling, which for some reason that word is like grinding on me lately because I hear it all the time. Like stories, we're telling stories, but it's true, whatever. And so now that audiences are wanting to consume what they want to watch and can skip anything that's advertising, now the advertising can become more like filmmaking. And that's what we try to do. We do the fun things, we do the creative things, but we're trying more and more with anything else to just be like, don't do it that way. No one will care about your widget. All they care about is being entertained or, feeling something, like, connecting. And so that's been fun for us.
Yeah. The thing that I'm probably interested in myself, if I had to kind of say what I push for myself now is, I don't want to say not so much the entertainment thing, but like what I'll try and push clients on is to be memorable. So really make something that's going to stick in somebody's memory. And in order to do that, you have to separate yourself from the noise, which is tons and tons of noise out there. So, I like to say, okay, so let's take a look at, whatever. Let's say that we have a series of concepts here for your commercial or your video or whatever. Now let's just look at these and let's just be honest. What's noise and what's not? What has the potential to not be noise? What concept can we drive past and make somebody who's going to be, washing the dishes in the other room prick their ear up and look at the TV or something or whatever, as opposed to just be the droning, on of everything else.
Yeah.
That's what I'm currently probably been in the last like couple years now been pushing for is sticking in the craw of somebody. And that's not always, you're not always saying, well, you have to be entertaining to do that. No, not necessarily. I mean, you have to be, in the end, you'll be entertaining because you're memorable, right? But it has to be whatever. It has to be punchy or sad or something or striking or whatever it is. Right. What you haven't seen. If you look at everything that's out there right now, let's go in this other direction,
All right, that's all for today's episode. We had a real great chat with Vinnie as we decided to break it up into 2 episodes. This is the end of the first episode, episode 22, and 23 will be a continuation of this where we hear the second half of our conversation. So if you want more Vinnie and us, tune in next week. Otherwise, tune in anyway. It'd be really great. Follow, subscribe, click the button, do the thing. I don't know. I'm barely on the internet. I'm so old now. So, we'll see you next time. Hello and welcome. That beeping is really annoying. It's like Beep Town out there. You probably can't hear it. We'll do it again. Katie, roll the thing. Just kidding. I'm going to rip off Nerdist forever.
Swap film right.
How does he start? Okay, I'll do that too.
Totally not what I meant.
Okay. It, the, and, who, me, pizza, Matt.
Adjectives? Or adverbs anywhere?
Awesomely, fastly. Those are adverbs, right? There's a fine balance you have to find, and
Hey Ryan, can you check your mic connection?
check. Am I good? Mike, check. Blessing and a curse too, and even what the? Are you peeking?